There you go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Six Elemental Interviews on my channel, The John King Saga 747. Well, now it's no longer 747. I got rid of the number because I think somebody said, "Why is the number there, PL?" I'm like, I don't know. I think when I made the channel, I just left it there by accident, so I took it off. Anyways, I can't help saying 70.
But now you're so close to say, or you're so used to saying it that
yeah, it just spits out. But, ladies and gentlemen, people everywhere, I am so honored and privileged to have dear friend, one of the most popular indie authors and bloggers out there. I think when we talk about, all-time favorite indie books, people mention the Swords of Kaigan, the Paternuses, etc. But this book right here, this frequently now gets mentioned on the list of best ever all-time indie sci-fi and fantasy books.
You're just picking on me now.
Talk to any blogger out there, and they will definitely say this is on that list. Like the Brightwash, one of my favorite books of all time, a book that had a huge impact on me. And the author is fantastic. She's also a blogger. We'll get into that because she's been doing a lot of that recently. And to add an insult to injury, if you weren't jealous of how good a writer she was, she follows it up with Brick and Bone, so which was also absolutely phenomenal. So, folks, welcome, Krystle Matar. How you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing really good, and I'm really happy to chat with you because I feel like either I've dropped off the radar. Actually, it's probably my fault. It is definitely my fault. I've dropped off the radar since Glasgow, where I got to see everybody, and then I'm not online as much anymore, so I don't see anybody. So it feels like my big comeback, chatting with you and getting to see people again.
Oh my gosh, Amar, well, don't call it a comeback. Everybody still talks about you when you're not around in a positive way. So it's not like everybody's forgotten about you.
It's my re-entry into society.
It's your re-entry into society. Okay. Yeah. We got a couple of people came by to support you, say hi. We have the wonderful Alicia, Birdie, and the books. That was my sister from another mother. We share the same birthday. She's wonderful. Check out Birdie the book. She's a wonderful booktuber. Check out her channel. And of course, we have the amazing Tori Talks. Love you too, Tori. Tori has a book coming out. Did the cover reveal on Before We Go blog earlier today. And of course, many other wonderful people in the community have also revealed Tori's cover for Cold Silver for Souls, fantasy western. It just sounds so excited. That title, man, is just awesome, right?
And I've had the pleasure of being able to talk to Tori about it, and it's like I said to you earlier, I'm gonna finish Ash and Stone this weekend, and then as soon as I finish that motherfucker, I'm gonna be reading Tori's book. And I'm just, I need it. I need medicine for my soul.
I feel you.
The intersection of genres on that one, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, Tori is an amazing author, an amazing person. One of the absolutely most wonderful people in the community, a brilliant author. Her Bloodstones book just slapped me. It just, I just this is so freaking good. I just, she's really just blown up in terms of, and just the craft elevation is just phenomenal. And of course, she is, one of the best booktubers, out there. Clearly in the community, she's beloved. So it's always great to see Tori. She's got some love for you too, Krystle. She says Krystle's character work is stupidly good. Agreed. Leave some time for the rest of us. Yeah.
I was just about to say that I really appreciated how we pivoted out of talking about me, and we were going to talk about somebody else for this whole thing, but then you brought it back, and then.
Oh yeah, and I totally agree. Character work is trademark of Miss Matar, and Tori says not to mention outfit. Yes, Tori, I'll tell you, man, you should see in Glasgow the style she's rocking, man. She's putting her way to shame. She's just profiling, wow, the waistcoats and.
Me and Christian Cameron were well coordinated. We had our suit game down. He brought his pocket watch. I did not bring mine because I was terrified I would get drunk and leave it somewhere. but yeah, it was Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, in Glasgow that could have happened. It was quite the
Yeah.
party. It was quite the party,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So
Yeah.
and we are graced by
Taylor.
my wonderful, wonderful co-host on Page Chewing, the amazing Maple Chew the Pages, Taylor. Hey Taylor, thanks so much for dropping by. So great to see you always. Thanks for coming out and checking out our peeps, our mutual peeps, Miss Matar. Fiona West, hey, what's up,
Fiona,
How's
she
it
made
going?
it.
Thanks for coming by. Amazing. And another amazing support of the community, the awesome Chivipo man. Thanks for dropping by, my friend. Always great to see you. He is such a fabulous fella. Dory says, stop. I'm supposed to be Krystle Blush, not the other way around. And she also says, hopefully she'll get to meet you in person soon. It will happen. Oh, yeah, it will. It will definitely happen. It will definitely happen.
We'll get our hugs. We'll get our hugs one way or another.
Absolutely. And Tori, like I said, congratulations again on the penny release, the beautiful cover, and a lot of hype in the community to read Tori's book. So, but back to you, Krystle. So you've been a bit busy.
I have been a bit busy. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So I want to kind of go backwards and talk about, so basically, unless you've been living out under a rock, everybody knows that this book absolutely blew the hell up, was an SPFBO finalist, was one of the most highly regarded, still most highly regarded indie books out there. You write this and it just goes bananas, right? You got hundreds of reviews on Goodreads. It's making everybody's top 10 list. Everything's going fantastic. And then you add on to that, you start really getting to blogging, Before You Go Blog, editing, Grimdark Magazine,
Oh yeah, that was a big. That one felt like that one was really surreal, because I'm still convinced that Adrian's going to realize he's made a terrible mistake. He's like, who's this dude? Like, get her out of here. But actually, meeting Adrian at Glasgow was also super cool. So I think I've managed to secure my position well enough that he's not going to kick me out for being a fraud. So that was pretty cool.
Well, you do fabulous reviews as well. Obviously, you're a talented writer, and of course, as I mentioned, you followed up with this bad boy, just spectacular follow up. No sophomore slump here. This was incredible, and you start the Dripping Bucket podcast.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I'm,
So that one, it was probably inevitable, just because Fletcher and I talk so much shit to each other. Like we kind of egg each other on of like, what we should do, and it's like, yeah, we should. So I guess what happened was the Triple W podcast with Jed, Rob, Fletcher, and Dirk. It kind of like they decided they'd run their course, and Jed was on to other things, and the time zone stuff was enough for them. So they finished up, and Fletcher, surprisingly, considering how introverted he was, missed podcasting with people. So he was like, "Hey, do you want to do something?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I don't have enough to do. I'll definitely do this with you." And it's just kind of been us fumbling our way through all of it for, I guess, about a year now. And the last couple of weeks, we've been pretending not to make eye contact, because he's been working his ass off on returning to the Obsidian Path world. So he's writing a fourth and possibly final book for that. And I think he just finished his draft today or yesterday or something.
Oh, wow. It's amazing.
And at the same time, I've been working really hard on Ash and Stone. So we were just kind of we dropped out of contact for a couple of weeks, where it's like, we do technically still have a podcast, but let's just not talk about it while we do this. But now that we're both finished, I suspect we'll be back in the running and kind of picking stuff back up and getting folks back in with us.
Wow. Talk about indie fantasy royalty taking over indie fantasy royalty. You got the Dirk Ashes of the world, like they're doing this podcast, and then they shut it down. And then you and Fletch, I mean, Michael Fletcher, another huge name in the indie science fiction fantasy community. Beyond Redemption, probably what he's best known for, just an incredible and prolific writer. You guys do this podcast, like, so, I mean, how do you find the time? People ask me how I find the time. How do you find the time, Krystle? Writing these beautiful chonkers and then...
The answer is obviously I don't, because we're super inconsistent about posting episodes, and also it's taken me forever to write books. So, but I think in a lot of ways, though, having the outlet of talking to other writers makes writing easier. And like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of extra work on my workload, but I find being able to chat with folks about their process and their careers and what they are most passionate about kind of refills my own creative well, because I think it's too easy to fall into this slump of being really isolated, and being kind of feeling like you're not getting anything done, and it's hard to talk about, or it's hard to talk to people about what you're working on because nobody's read all the other books, or it's spoilers, and like there's all these reasons to self-isolate. And if I do that for too long, my job gets harder because I just kind of lose sight on the goals. Whereas if once I added podcasting into the routine, even if it's very sporadically into the routine, chatting with other writers and being in the presence of their passion fills me back up again, and it reminds me, like, yes, this is why I'm doing it. And the last writer that we had on, Glenn Stewart. Sorry, Glenn, I'm gonna post your episodes. I swear to God, I will. He was at like 50 or 60 books or something like that. And it's just like, wow. Yeah, exactly. Wow. And he was talking about like how his process, like every single book he goes through is hard and different. And yet also his process is kind of down to a science that he can predict what he needs, and he knows like how to head off problems that he's gonna run into. And listening to him talk about the balance of the art versus the science of this business was like, yeah, man, like I can see that. I can see myself getting there. And all of a sudden now I have like a bit of a roadmap to get myself there. And that's why I find the time. I don't know how I find the time, but I do it. I do it because it's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, Taylor brings up an excellent point about, she says, isolation is such a catch-22.
Yeah.
And then basically once you socialize again, it's easy to remember why it's so important, but that first step is hard. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also like when we're doing well, I think we take it for granted. And we don't always see the spots where we're cutting ourselves off by accident. And you know, we're dropping things and we're losing things. And then all of a sudden, all of these people that love us are so far away and we don't know why. And it's not their fault. It's not our fault. It just kind of happens. And then you kind of convince yourself that you deserve it, but you don't. And it's okay to have a hard time. But yeah, taking that first step back towards those people that want to lift you up is really scary because it feels like you've done something wrong and you've let them down. But Taylor, we're super glad that you're taking your steps back towards us.
Yes, we're so happy.
And yeah, people in this community are very loved, and I think we forget how loved we are, but it's very true.
And I mean, part of what has happened is that in all positive ways, you've been really, really busy, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes that demands to write novels
Yep.
of this length, to write to the quality that you write, the high quality you write, it takes a lot of time and energy.
Time.
And you have a busy family and kids and husband, and you have things going on besides podcasting, blogging, writing, being an influencer in the social media sphere, the indie sphere. And that also takes, I talk a lot about, a lot of us are semi-introverted by nature, and as much as we can be extroverted, it kind of drains our social battery a bit sometimes to do all the stuff.
And I think I think we as a community kind of are our own worst enemies in that regard, just because we obviously know that we do this to ourselves. We can't ever quite break the cycle. And I think I lean more towards the extroverted side. But even so, somehow I still forget how much I need to be with my people. And then once I forget that, then that's when I'm getting myself into trouble of getting really melodramatic about my problems and all of that. So at least I'm aware that I do it to myself, so it then becomes easier to break back out. But yeah, mental health is again, and it's an art and a science, and it's tricky to figure out that I don't know, the right formula to keep it.
Yeah, Tori makes an excellent point. Having a village as a writer and taking the time to build it and forging those relationships is so important. And I think a lot of it is about the right relationships, the healthy relationships, the positive ones.
Yeah. Oh,
right? The ones that give you that energy, as the ones that invigorate you, the ones that you can commiserate with, the ones that will tell you straight how things are, and the ones you could just go offline and have those conversations, about those really important things, and But I think in our community too, so much of it is about if you haven't caught up with so and so in a while, you can message them, and it's like you were talking every day for the last 10 years, right? That's kind of people we have in our community, right?
Yeah. And I think it's very much the quirk of our personalities and the type of personalities that get drawn to writing and publishing to begin with, where it's like being a people person is hard, even if we like it. And so everybody around us also knows that it's hard. So if we have to step back and then step back in again, or step away and then step back in again, everybody around us has done the same thing enough times that they know what just happened. It wasn't about us. This was about me. This was a me problem, and I needed it, and I love you, and thanks for welcoming me back. And they've done it, and I've done it.
And I think I think inside we have this phobia of, if I disappear from these spaces, no one's gonna buy my books, no one's gonna remember me, no one's going to invite me on this podcast, no one's going to want to talk to me, no one's going to remember our friendship and the fact that we were crying together over this episode in our lives, or that we used to. There's so many things that I think we get fearful of when we take these hiatuses. But when we realize, well, no, it's just fine, we come back. The more that happens, and the more you are willing to give yourself the grace to take a break from these things, the better off you typically are.
Yeah, and I think not delaying it actually makes the recovery easier, because it's like if you're able to recognize, like, okay, I'm kind of at my threshold here of what I can handle. I'm just gonna step away for a week or two, and then that week or two is enough, and you come back rejuvenated because you didn't overextend yourself. Then it's just easier to make that recovery happen. Whereas if you're pushing yourself past that threshold, every step you take past that threshold, you've taken more out of yourself that then you have to spend longer recuperating from. And it just kind of it digs you further into that hole, and then it's harder to take that step back eventually. So I think recognizing when we're getting too oversaturated with whatever it is, like it doesn't even have to be anything. It's just who we are. We're overwhelmed easily as a community, I think. And I think it's okay just to acknowledge that and be at peace with it, and make the space kind of the buffer zone.
No, I completely agree. And what is success part of that? I mean, when people, how does the pressure of, oh my gosh, legacy the Brightwash, legacy the Brightwash, legacy the Brightwash, is that part of it? Can that become part of it? Not necessarily is it with you, but do you see that it can become part of
it? Do you mean like
yes,
part of
that
pressure?
Needs to step away and
yeah, I probably, but also I feel like it's also a privilege, because my book has its own momentum without me. I can step away and there's less detriment to the book, because other people are carrying it for me, and I'm super grateful for that. And I think, as much as I get up on my little podium and talk about how people deserve to give themselves space, I have to acknowledge the fact that I have a privilege in my success, because people who aren't selling as well as I am probably take more of a hit when they take a step back. And so, like, I do understand that I'm speaking from a place that not everybody gets to stand in. So whatever pressure there is, it's balanced by knowing that my community has my back in such a spectacular way. And so if anything, it tips over until, like, I almost feel guilty for having, that extra step.
Well, speaking of people have your back, I mean, here with this chat, you have the Tories, the Chippy Poe, the Taylors, Fiona West. Speaking of people that have your back, one of the greatest fantasy writers of all time, Jenny Wirtz, has joined the chat. Hi, Jenny. Thanks so much for stopping by. Jenny, says,
I'm so unbelievably honored, but also I'm so sorry. That cliffhanger was such a hard choice, and I knew it was gonna upset people, and leave it to me to upset such an icon as Janny Wirtz. So thank you for taking a chance on me, Janny, and trusting me with another book. And also, I'm sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, right?
Janny,
an icon, one of the most, for someone who is, part of, like I said, I will say, if it's a pantheon of great fantasy writers, she's part of it. For someone at that caliber, that level, absolutely, to be so kind and so accessible and so open and so supportive, like, it's just incredible. And Jenny is a friend to all of us. She's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. She says, huge fan of Legacy Brightwash. And yes, last year with the Cambridge said she's got the sequel. So she got the sequel. So, and I can tell you, Jenny,
and it's really good timing to have the sequel, because the third one is going really well, and I'll probably be publishing it soon-ish. Soon in a relative kind of way, because my poor editor still has to do their work. But yeah, so I should
think. Jenny also compliments Tori on her cover, because everyone's talking about the release.
Oh, was the reveal today? I think I missed the reveal.
Yeah, a lot of people are putting it out there. Check it out.
But it's also, I got to see it earlier, so I guess I didn't know it was revealed today.
No, it's amazing. And yes, Jenny says, sorry. No, you're not.
I mean, I'm Canadian, so yes, I am, but also no, I'm not.
Yes. And Tori says, Jay's going through the same thing. Can we suffer the most stress our books cause? Nope. Agreed. And you want to talk about emotional ruin. After you read Jenny's books, you'll be sent straight to the tissue box. And and I guess it was a wreck from Taylor
Yeah,
that got you into
and
Blackbird.
that's kind of exactly what I was talking about how people have my back in a way that I couldn't have possibly done that myself. And so that momentum that other people are carrying for me, like I see it, and I appreciate it so much. Not just Taylor specifically, but obviously like Taylor a lot because she's the best, and
She
Tori's the
is.
best. But also just that knowledge that people that I don't know are talking to each other, and carrying the message of what I'm trying to do without me there, is really cool. And I think it's kind of my favorite thing, and such an unexpected gift, that I didn't know how much of that I would see when I decided to publish, and I don't think I realized how much that would mean to me, because like if you've never had it, how would you know that it would be so amazing? But yeah, it's that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about, where it's less pressure and more just really special.
Yeah. But you do understand, Krystle,
Oh,
that
don't start.
as eminently talented as you are, as eminently talented as you are, and as amazing legacy the Brightwash is, you do realize that if you were beloved because you were a great person, people would not boost your book the way they do. As brilliant as this book is, right? In our
Yeah.
community, people also push. And it's a two-part thing: the talent, but also someone who gives back and supports and uplifts other people, right?
You're
That's
trying to
why.
make me cry again. That's what's happening. I'm on to you.
Well, I think I owe you one. I didn't mean to be fair. I think I
You're
owe you
right.
one. If you
Yeah,
if you recall,
I made you cry, I think. Yeah.
yes, you did. You did. And that was over Legs to the Brightwash, because that book touched me on a level that few books have ever touched me. Actually, I think I can only think, and she's actually in the audience, I can only think of Jenny's Troy Tells Chasm, which is my favorite fantasy book of all time. I would say that and Legacy of the Brightwash were the two books
Oh man.
that I just made me sob, because they touched me on a very deep personal level. I think if you read Troy Tells Chasm, Krystle,
Yeah.
you would see some similarities, I think, in some of the themes.
Yeah, I have heard, like, just what I've heard about it, I do suspect like that one's gonna be for me. It's just I need like an extra eighth day of the week just for reading, and reading only, and no other responsibilities are allowed in the day.
Yeah, no, I definitely, we could all use
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
so how do one thing that you've talked about a lot, I've watched you on various podcasts, is that Tashué, the main character. I mean, you have some amazing characters. They live, a lot of them live rent free in my head. And but
Well,
Tashué,
fortunately, they're paying rent by earning me royalties.
yeah. but Tashué,
Yeah.
is. I always say that, and this is my thought process. For any great book, and I'm a character-driven reader. I believe a character-driven writer. For any great book, you might forget plot details and world building.
Yeah.
Things happen, but the characters stay with you. And if you write
Yeah.
characters that resonate and stay with people, your books are always going to be successful. And I think I can say that about so many characters here, but Tashué, I know for me personally,
Yeah.
one of my top fantasy characters of all time. And what do you think it is about Tashué in particular that just people can't forget about? They hang on his every trial and tribulation, and what is it about him specifically that does it?
That's a good question. I think what gets people, but also what drives some people away, like the thing that doesn't work for some people, is the same thing, where he's trying his best in a system that's deeply flawed, as a person who is deeply flawed. And I think in the current day and age, a lot of us can really relate to what it feels like to have to make really hard choices when it's not clear if there's any good choices. And I think that that reality is what people resonate with. But also, I can't help but wonder if the fact that he's a parent is part of that too. And like it's kind of the same feeling. Like parenting is so goddamn hard.
Yeah.
And we make the best choices that we can, but ultimately we're really flawed. So hopefully we don't make make our children worse than we are. And I think that's part of the reason he really resonates with people who've been reading fantasy for a long time, just because they're, maybe they came in on the farm boy story,
Yeah.
like so many of us did, but now they're a little bit further along in their own journey, and so they can relate with him and what he's going through, even though it's obviously not our time period and not our world. And I think that's also what drives people away, because I think how flawed he is sometimes gets on people's nerves, which, that's fair. I know who he is. He's a hot mess. So
Well, for someone who writes a flawed main
yeah,
character, I can tell you that Tashué, for all his flaws, he is so lovably human, and I think he's irresistible to people in that, as you said, someone trying to do the right thing, even though
yeah,
sometimes he doesn't understand what that is or how
yeah,
that will manifest.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's huge.
Especially in relationship to his son. Yeah.
Yeah, and that in of itself, I think, I talked about this on a podcast recently that, writing and parenting share a lot of similarities because
Mm.
you create this thing and
Yeah.
it has a life of its own.
Oh man, and you love it. You love it so much, and you want or love them so much, and you want the best for them, and you just want to wrap them in this perfect little bubble. Um, but then they walk away from you, and there's nothing you can do. You just have to let them walk away. And yeah, I do agree that writing feels like the same thing, where there was a long period was only nobody else could touch it, and it was protected, and it was personal, and then I just had to let it walk away and get beat up and find its own way in the world. And it having both, I can definitely confirm that it's almost exactly the same emotional journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I absolutely agree. Quickly, Taylor puts up, she says about
Everyone's too
Janny's love of
nice.
Brightwash. Knew it would speak to you, Janny, based on how much you value in-depth character work. Brightwash is a masterpiece. Definitely concur in that regard. And I forgot to mention, I've been totally remiss that I mentioned how busy you were. And in all of this, you also managed to contribute to several anthologies in the
Oh
meantime while you were in the middle of
yeah.
writing your main series and blogging and pocket guides. Again, I read
Um.
Baby Teeth
Oh,
in the
baby teeth.
Anatomy of
Yeah.
Fear,
Okay.
and it was fantastic. I haven't got to write the review yet, but what I mean, I love your writing period, but obviously what I loved about it is because you didn't leave the universe of the
Yeah.
Tainted Dominion. You wrote it in Yelsmere, and it's about Laszlo and David
Yeah.
Kane, and like it's got all of those characters that very flawed characters again, that
Yes, we
that
love it.
it was fabulous. It was
Yeah.
fabulous. So what's it like doing all these, and I want to stretch this beyond the anthology, what's it like doing all these collabs? Like you're collabing with Fletch on podcast, you're collabing with other authors in these anthologies. You did Anatomy of Fear. What else have you
Yeah.
done recently? You
Yeah.
did
Yeah. The other one was Alchemy of Sorrow. And that one, let me see. Do I have it up there? It's up there somewhere. Yeah. That one was Virginia McLean spearheaded that one, and that was also in the Dominion. That was Ishmael's moment to shine.
Ah,
Yeah. I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about feeding on other people's energy and how much feeding on makes it sound more negative than I'm used to, but resonating with other people's energy. Um, doing Alchemy of Sorrow. I'm pretty sure I was invited to that story before I was published, like before Brightwash came out, and so like it was such an honor. And also, I grew so much in a very short period of time because I was doing beta reads for other authors in the anthology, and then also they were beta reading for me, and like it was just such a rapid fire environment of like, okay, done, we got to get this thing going, and it really forced me to be to kind of zoom out and figure out like, okay, how can I be most helpful to this person for this story, and to Virginia for this stage of the Kickstarter. And like it was just such a crash course in community, um, that I think that's where I really came to terms with like, oh my God, I think I'm actually an extrovert. Because it was just so energizing to be a part of that. And I think that set the tone for kind of the rest of my career, Godspeed, or God willing. Because there's so much beautiful, messy, frenetic energy in collaborating with other people that I don't think I could do this job without it.
yeah, and it's probably something that, you know, again, we think of writing as a solitary thing, but of course, when you get in the
Yeah.
community, you realize it's not. But they do something like an anthology, and it takes it to
Yeah.
another level because anthologies typically are designed so that while all the stories are individual, sometimes there's a common thematic
Yeah.
thing
There's,
running through it. Like,
yeah.
and I think once you've done something like that, I think it
Mm,
really actually does, as you said, it is a benchmark in your writing career when you collaborate on either you co-write a book with someone or you participate in
yeah.
an anthology. It just changes the game a bit. I think it changes your writing brain um,
Yeah.
to a
And
degree.
I think the nature of the anthology having such like, shorter stories, it lets you jump through the steps a lot faster. And so it's almost like a little mini crash course or like an intensive workshop in the ecosystem of publishing. So you have 10,000 words instead of 100,000 words, and so you get that draft out fast, you get the editing done fast, you're helping other people get their stuff done fast, um, and you're able to carry it from inception to finished project, not necessarily with less effort, but like it's just faster, and it forces you to grow with the anthology in a way that I think was very instructive for me, and I really enjoyed um, doing it then a second time with Holly Tinsley, and the team that she put together. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Taylor says, agree 100%. I think Brightwash is a breath of fresh air in the sense that it makes you really feel seen. And yes, she agrees. Parenthood is damn hard. New mother Taylor and Brightwash
Yeah.
skills. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And Jenny says, Taylor, I was beefing with the lack of books, but that love, character depth, and you nailed it with this title. Thank you. So high praise from the esteemed Jenny Words for Lacey Brightwash. Oh,
Yeah. I'll have you
Jenny,
know.
we're sensitivity reader.
I'll have you know that the last time I talked about you, sensitivity reader, on a podcast, I sobbed. So actually, pass. That's my sensitivity reader. So Loon, I'm gonna do it, and I hope you cry too, because you started this. But Loon came in on Brightwash to kind of help with Tashué. Oh God, and it was so scary. Like I wanted so badly to write a character that was respectful of, an existence that wasn't mine, but also, be human and flawed and challenging. And Loon immediately saw what I was trying to do when I wasn't doing it. I hadn't done it well yet, but they really believed in me for some reason, and they really believed in Tashué, and they encouraged me to push harder and let it hurt more and let it be scary. And I think like whatever good that people see in Tashué, at least half of that is thanks to Loon, because Loon gave me the courage to let that character be so deeply flawed, but so genuine in a way that I wouldn't have had the courage to go there without them. And part of Tashué being bisexual on the page is thanks to Loon. Like everything about that relationship that I have with them now still made me better, and by extension, it made Tashué better, and it made Brightwash better. So that's what I have to say about my sensitive reader. And hopefully we're still friends. But I don't know. It was worth it. It was worth it to go out in a blaze of glory.
Well, thank you so much, Loon. We all owe you a debt of gratitude for being part of one of the most amazing indie fantasy books of all time. It's a personal favorite, and I think, Loon. Just so you're aware, for someone like me, Tashué is a character that's unforgettable, and part of, for me personally, the so many things being a parent, as we talked about earlier, being a law enforcement officer, and those difficult choices that really spoke to me. So, Loon, thank you so much for the amazing assistance you provided to the author in creating one of the most fabulous characters of all time. So
I
thank
hope
you.
you're at least blushing, you punk.
Gods. So may I ask? Now I can know for me, I, it's funny. I'm still very much growing and learning as a writer. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
still very much
So
finding,
should
I
we
think,
all. Yeah.
yeah, my footing. But I feel a lot more comfortable in my own skin as a writer now. I feel a lot more certain of the ground I'm standing on. It doesn't look as shaky. And just quickly, I says, yeah, I'm crying, but you're both terrible. That's
There
okay.
we go.
Story not story, my friend. Story not story.
We paid it forward. Last time you and I cried together, and now we've paid it forward for
Yes,
the audience.
we have. So I know that for me, man, the second book was hard, man. Krystle, man,
Yeah.
I that thing, I struggled with the weight of expectations for the first one. Not like my first book blew up the way yours did, but people knew about my book, had expectations, thought, okay, see a lot of potential there, waiting for the second one. I struggled that book. It came out, I think, already in the end. But how was it for you following up something as big as Brightwash with Brick and Bone?
I think, it was really scary. Just because, when something does well, you're like, oh shit, now I have to do that again. Like, at least if it had flopped, I could then write a second flop in privacy or something, but it did well. And I think that was hard, but for me personally, the hardest part was adjusting to my new relationship with writing. Because before, Tasha and I had kind of a private relationship. It was just me and him hanging out, and whatever this is. And it, it was just me and him against the world, and he was only mine. And that was a place of refuge for me that I could step away. But then Brightwash did really well, thank God, and people read it and liked it, and suddenly it belong to so many more people. And this thing that was private was now public, and I had to kind of figure out, well, if I'm going to do this so publicly, what does that mean? And who do I want to be as a writer, and what stands do I want to make if if it turns out I have a platform and I have a voice, then what do I want to say? And grappling with that was actually harder than actually, writing the book. Although, it meant that I wrote a lot of shit to make it into the book, because I was just like, oh, maybe I'll say this. And I, went off for 100,000 words. And it's like, actually, no, this isn't what the story was about. So I'll go back. So yeah, these were my friends, and now they're hanging out with other people, and I don't know how I feel about it. So yeah, I think that part was harder for me than following up, because I think I know this will be a great shock to everybody that knows me, but I'm pretty stubborn. And eventually the feedback kind of wears off for me. Like it just kind of becomes background noise, because I'm going to write what I'm going to write anyway. I'll just be bitchier about it or something. But it no longer being a private thing was hard for me. And then for the third book, that feeling is now pivoted and become something that I'm celebrating, where it's not private anymore. I'm not hiding anything anymore. Everybody knows all of the deepest, darkest, most terrifying things about me through this book, and they know what I stand for, and they know what I believe in, and now I'm going to say it louder. And so in a way, that third book, the third book has been hard, but it's also been like a medicine, healing that relationship between me and writing. So yeah, Fiona's calling me out. Yeah, very stubborn. It's true. I'm extremely stubborn. But I feel like we all kind of probably are pretty stubborn, or else we wouldn't get through the horrific process of writing, editing, publishing, and then doing it again. Like, anybody, in theory, anybody could write a book once, but then editing it sucks, and publishing it sucks, and then going back and doing another one fucking sucks. But we keep doing it because we've convinced ourselves that we love this. So,
And we as Fiona said, that's what we love about you. And also, we pray that you never stop writing. And the stubbornness I translate to the words like perseverance and consistency and stick-to-itiveness. And I always say, I think for most of us, some of us aspire to write one book and that's it, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's great. I think a lot of us aspire though to have a body of work, and that doesn't happen without a hell of a lot of effort. And
a bit of masochism.
Like
willingness to hurt ourselves.
Like somebody said to me, PL, like, you got 5 books, we know you're working on the 6th, you got 20 something planned in this universe alone. You like, what does it take to just keep grinding? And I equate to anything else, whether you're going to the gym or whether you're trying to take up a hobby, whether you're knitting, whatever you're doing, right? Sometimes so much of it is just about refusing not to do it rather than like actually do. Like, it's like, I am not going to stop because I can't and I don't want to.
I can't not write. I think what little sanity I have would crumble pretty quickly if I would feel really sorry for my family having to share a house with me if ever I stopped writing for an extended period of time, because I would be insufferable. But also, I think think something that we all kind of instinctively know, like if we get this far of having a few books published, it's not the act of doing it is special to us. It's not, yes, having a book that's published at the end is a wonderful side effect of writing for us, but the act of sitting down and spending time with these characters and solving our problems, that process is that's what I'm here for, and I can't not do that. Like it comes from a place of wanting to do that. Even though I bitch about it and complain about it and feel sorry for myself for weeks on end, if it's not going well, it's like, I don't know, it's magic. It's communion with the human soul. And to not do it, I can't even fathom who I would be if I wasn't writing.
No, I totally agree with you, and it's so funny,
Yeah.
Krystle. I don't know how you feel, but I'm a completionist. I'm a task-oriented kind of person.
Yeah.
But I thought that the feeling that I had after having book 1, 2, 3 out, and the things produced, it's finished. I thought that would still be the high. But I find now it's almost
for yourself, right?
Yeah, it's almost anticlimactic now. It's the writing, like you said. You hit the nail.
Yeah.
It's the writing that gets me because I think maybe we take it for granted. We expect to publish the thing at the end. Like that's the goal, right? Like,
yeah.
But it's it's a process now that I get all that joy from, and the actual publishing becomes more the chore part. Not that I don't enjoy certain aspects of it, but it's more like, you know what?
It's a to-do list at the end of like, oh, I have this done now. Now what do I do with it? Oh, I guess I'll publish it. Yeah.
But I want to ask, so how is the third book going? I know you can't give away too much because of spoilers, and obviously, in a series, especially one like yours, that is so character-driven and so in-depth. And some characters may or may not make it. What can you tell us about the third book in general, as an overview and how it's going?
So it's going very well, yeah. And then I sent the first half or so to the alpha reader, and they've now sent it back, or he's sent it back. So it's Chris, the escapist. And then I'm gonna finish. Like I have about 10,000 words to write, so I'm gonna finish it probably on Sunday and send it to Chris so that he can start working on the second half next week. And I kind of expected more problems. Like I expected him to flag more problems than he did. And so, like, when he sent that first half back, and it's like, actually, this is good, and actually, I disagree with you with this long list of things that you've invented. I think, certain things could be moved around a bit, but it's actually really good. And, and he picked up on some foreshadowing stuff that I wasn't sure if it would fly, so, like, that was really rewarding. And he loves Laszlo so much, and it's like, it gives me so much joy. But then also, like, so you've read Baby Teeth.
Yeah.
He had some, like, he hasn't read it.
Oh.
And so it's really fascinating to see the way he interacts with Laszlo, especially every now and then Laszlo mentions his father, but not what happened.
Yeah.
And it's just like a little devil horns moment of like, oh, you feel really sorry for him, do you? Oh yeah, that's really awful. And so that part, like, is really satisfying for me. Just watching him, like, just fall head over heels in love with this fucking lunatic. And then the end of it, like, several times I've been like sobbing quietly at my keyboard because of the way certain people are interacting. And there's just this really bittersweet ending of those that are left alive are standing in the same approximate area for spoilery reasons. And
Oh.
just having them there together is just like, man, I am so sorry for all all the shit that you've been through and how much worse it's about to get right after this.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, not
Yeah.
sorry again.
Yeah, exactly.
we put our characters through so much pain. It's but that's
Yeah.
how we get the results, right?
Yeah. Well, and as a reader, I'm always so moved by veterans who turn to fiction writing to kind of process their journey and their trauma and the moral injury of having done what they had to do. And in a book about so much conflict, like I can't not acknowledge that yes, what they had to do was right, but it was really awful. Yeah.
It says to make them grow. That's what you have to do, essentially. Taylor has an excellent question. She says, well, on the subject of writing itself, recently I've heard a lot about the era of the novella and short fiction. What are your thoughts on this as authors of expansive worlds?
Oh, well, I mean, I get it. Like I'm so impressed by what other authors, not me, can do in 20,000 words or so, or like however long T. Kingfisher's novellas are. What Moves the Dead. I just finished that. I'm so angry because it's so good and so short. But I think I don't know that it is an era in a unique way. Like I think short fiction has always had a huge piece of the market, whether we've been aware of it or not, because there's always been mag submissions. There's always been anthologies. There's always been short stories that authors write as accompanying. And I definitely know that it's an incredible skill that I would like to work on more. But I think there's still going to be magic in spending a lot of time with characters and in a world that you love. And I don't think that feeling of wonder and luxury, even though it's grimdark, but like that feeling of being at home in this sprawling, luxurious, richly detailed world is going to go anywhere, because we call this the era of novella and short fiction, but Samantha Shannon is putting out a new book this year soon, um, and it's this big again, and people are going to buy it because people who love Samantha Shannon and the world that she created and the lush, textured, multifaceted world that she made, that you get to sit down in that with her and just let her envelop you in it, and people go back for that. She's selling, like she's not going anywhere. She's not going to change because she knows what she can do and she knows how good she is at it, and more power to her. And I think what we're in more is an era of trying to define what era we're in. And we like to name our trends when we see them, but I think they're a lot more circular. And the era of the epic fantasy will come back eventually. Like it's not going anywhere. Those of us that are very friggin' stubborn are going to keep doing it. And then readers will get tired of short fiction and they'll come wandering back into beasts.
Yeah. And I think I think about Tainted the short story you wrote in Dark Ends, which is brilliant with Gail in it. So so my thing is that if I think about Baby Teeth, if I think about Tainted, and I think about you writing short stories and anthologies, but still set in your main universe, I think for me, Taylor, that's the way that it may sound like cheating, but I mean, the beauty of doing that is that you have this established main series where people understand some of the parameters of the world. They love your writing, so then they're gonna, Krystle Matar wrote a short story set in the same universe in this anthology. Yep, I'm gonna read that, and they still feel immersed, and they have this great, like almost like a side story, a side quest going on that you might see some of the same characters. It feels unique but yet familiar. Like I know for me, I did that with Forrest Dark in the recent anthology, The Shapers of World anthology. It's set in the John Kingdom universe, but it's set centuries before the main series, but it's still part, you understand the setting, you understand where it is in my world. I think that's a great way to enhance if this is the era of the development of short fiction. I think for a lot of us epic fantasy writers, we can do these short stories. Like Ryan Cale has 3 novellas out in his.
Yeah, I think that's right. It seems to me that he puts one out between every novel, and I think also the inverse is true, where if this is the era of short, those of us that can pretend to know what we're doing, we can put out some short fiction, and it becomes a lure into the greater world. And I have a couple of ideas that I'd like to do probably after, while Ash and Stone is sitting with editing, something a lot shorter that takes place but stands alone, and then maybe it would draw people into the world, because it gives people a kind of a lower investment path into my backlist, hopefully, if I pull it off. So I think that both are true, where for those of us that found us through our long fiction can enjoy our short fiction, and then those of us that are wary of our long fiction, if we have some short fiction available, we can offer them, well, I know you don't want Brightwash because it's so long, but how about this other one that's 2/3 or 1/3 of the length.
Yeah.
So we can use those trends to just keep our backlist alive and working, and
cajole, seduce people into
exactly.
Once they can't get enough of this short story, break down. I'm gonna break down. I gotta check out Brightwash now because this short story is amazing. So I was scared because of the length, but I gotta give it a try. And then once you have them, they're hooked, right?
Hopefully, exactly. Hopefully. And it just gives them because all readers are different, and if somebody's worried that they're not going to jive with your style, that's valid. That's a valid reason not to pick up a giant friggin' book. But if you have something a bit shorter, it gives them the opportunity to be that was okay, but not for me, or I need that, I need more of that, and then follow you.
Yeah, without as much investment. And Jenny raised the excellent point for someone
I do agree.
Yeah, we agree, Jenny. Short form works versus long form. Mastery means knowing a story's appropriate length, trend is irrelevant. You're right, and
I think they're also different skills. A short story is not a shorter novel. It is its own body of work, and it's its own skill. And I do think there is value for us as writers to practice in various lengths, because I think it teaches us a lot about who we are, and also it teaches us about our skills and our craft. But I don't think trends, especially if you take Jenny as an example, the last is it 1 book or 2 books that she published recently? I'm so sorry, Jenny. They've exploded, and she's been publishing for a hot minute. And she just kind of proves that you can come back into the market swinging, and knock people on their asses. Um, and how many trends have you seen in your years publishing, Janny? If you don't mind me kicking questions right back to the audience, I'm sure you've seen the exact same trends, wearing 3 different coats over the past however many years of publishing. So it cycles around, and it behooves us to have many skill sets. It's good for us on a craft level, um, to know that we can do it, and also know what a story needs and how to give it its best life in the form that it has. But yeah, I do agree that it's just stories, man. Like
Yeah,
it's just good.
I think.
I
Yeah,
ignore trends entirely. Yeah,
yeah. Well,
that
that's
tracks.
Jenny. Jenny is a trend herself, right? She
Mhm,
sets the trends. She doesn't chase them. Um,
mhm.
you know,
And I think that is an important distinction to make, because I think that is true of all of the biggest moments that we remember most clearly. It wasn't somebody chasing somebody else's success. It was somebody who said, "No, actually, I am writing this book in this moment. I this is what I feel most passionate about, and this is what I believe in." And then the trend follows them.
and I have to say, Jenny's short fiction is absolutely outstanding. Crystal, The Gallant.
Okay.
If you don't have the time yet to get into Jenny's
Mm,
Jonkers, read The
please.
Gallant. It
Okay.
is just, you want to cry? Read that. Read that one.
Okay.
Read The
All right.
Gallant.
So you're trying to hurt me. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful pain. Read The Gallant. It is just marvelous. So you are working on the third book in Tin Dominion. Can you give us any tidbits, and you may not be able to, about anything else that could be in the hopper for your writing?
Oh, like what I'm doing next?
Yeah.
So what I would like to work on next, is not Tainted Dominion. I would like to take a break from that world. And everybody knows how much I love it, and that's the home of my heart and soul. But I need I need to take a break from it. So the other world that I'm working on is kind of 1920s, um, um, Prohibition era coded, but the alcohol is magic. So it's not all alcohol that is illegal. It's specifically the magic alcohol that's illegal. And the reason is magic is because it's like mixed with a psychotropic mushroom. So it's like a hallucinogenic magic system. So that is what I'm working on next. And the main character in that one is just as much of a hot mess as you would imagine from me. Um, and it's a crime story, but it's kind of like a love letter to family and community, and how the push and pull between individuality and family roots, and how that really shapes us. So that one's fun. I'm looking forward to it, and I think to myself, oh, I can't wait to write my considerably less politically relevant story about substance prohibition, from the point of view of like a trans character. So yeah, it's super less politically relevant. Go me. um, oh well. And then I also have. Um, for anyone who's read Brick and Bone, Ozra has a story that he needs to tell, and I really want to give him the time to tell it. And I would like it to come out either right before or around the same time as Ash and Stone. Like, I'd like them to come together, because you don't have to know Ozra's story to appreciate what he's going through, but yeah, I think it's an important piece of the bigger picture. So, and it's oh, it's a painful one, which is kind of why I'd like to do Frankie first, but I think it's going to be a good one. And then, otherwise, all the rest of my ideas are all in the Dominion. So, yeah.
Wow, sounds amazing. Taylor just adds, agent just jump for joy.
I've talked to him. I've been talking to him about it. And I have a map for the city, and I put what did I name it? I think I put some bar or something in there called Mushroom Blues.
So
just a little tip of the hat.
Little nod. So of course, just to confirm for anybody who's not aware, the wonderful Adrian Gibson, author of Mushroom Blues, current SPFBO Finalist book, amazing book, which I still have to get you. You generously gave me an arc. I have to get to that soon. Sounds right at my alley.
It was really good.
Yeah, I gotta get to that.
I was very honored to not quite beta read it. Like I guess I was on the team, but I was pretty late in the team. But I guess.
Yeah, and
Jenny knows more than me. But
Jenny mentions, yep. Insta-famous copying what's been done before. Plenty have done it. The Maverick path is harder, and that's the path that I think a lot of us have taken. You've taken it. I think I've taken it. Jenny certainly has.
I find Jenny's career like in the most incredible way. It's so inspiring. Like for her, like I'm sure she probably feels a bit like a bare knuckle boxer trying to make space for herself and her work in the industry, and then watching her get so much respect. I say all of a sudden, but I'm sure it does not feel like all of a sudden. And part of that is because I wasn't aware of her before I came into the community, and that's my bad. It's just so cool to see it. Like the scrappy ones can survive and then, get a knockout with, a pretty big launch.
Yeah, it's crazy that, Jenny has been iconic for so long, but so underrated, so underappreciated. And now with this resurgence, people are starting to realize, oh wow, she's one of the greatest fantasy authors of all time. How did I not realize that, right? And
it's, every overnight success has been like working at it for 20 or 30 years. So like I'm sure, it's been a really incredible journey, and like I'm so impressed and I'm so interested in it. It's nice to know, like, however much we move the mile markers for ourselves, there's still more out there for us.
And Jenny's definitely an example of that, you can have almost this renaissance with your work that, was already held up in such high regard, but now the sales are coming, and it's great. It's just great. We're also just happy for her because she is such an amazing person, and couldn't happen to a nicer person. So we're all so
deeply interesting. Every time she gets on a podcast and talks about like all these jobs that she has, it's just like a very interesting person.
I categorize. I have two friends. I feel like Christian Cameron is the most interesting man in the world, and Jenny's the most interesting woman in the world. And if you talk to them, you kind of sit there after a while. You're like, is there anything you haven't done in your life, like sailing, fencing, bagpipe, you name it, right? Like you go like search and rescue. Like you always go like,
I feel underqualified.
Yes,
half of this conversation actually, like you.
When you talk to someone like Jenny or Christian Cameron, you go, I haven't done anything with my life. Like you're like, I'm just like a lump, right, compared to what they've done. So, but Jenny just says more talent gets buried than recognized. Go in knowing it don't go down. So, and it is all about.
There's that stubbornness.
There's a stubbornness, right? And that's a trait I admire in Jenny. It's a trait I admire in you, and I think it's what I think I have myself that. Refusing to compromise certain things, and at the end of the day, it's all about the craft, right? It's about the craft, and for you to be able to look back and say, I got better. I'm improving.
Yeah.
I'm whatever that magical bar is that you never quite attain. I'm closer to it now than I was 4 years ago. Right? Like,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
gonna be honest, that scares the crap out of me.
Why?
Every now and then, I think about it every now and then, and like it's such an honor to even be considering it. But every now and then, I think about how maybe 20 years from now, um, there will be conversations where it's like, yeah, Brightwash is her first book, and it's okay, I guess, but the real good ones happened like at
Yeah.
XYZ. And it's such a strange feeling to know that's the goal,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing, question mark. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you
Where
mean.
yeah,
It is scary. And quick, I'm just gonna pop in there that Tara says she's gotta head out. Love
well,
you both. Love you too, Taylor. We
bye
love you
Taylor.
too. Thanks for coming by. Big heart.
Yeah,
I think it is scary because I don't know how you feel. I'm gonna be really honest here, and and I'd love to hear if you're willing to share. Like, I love the quirky, messed up things that are wrong with my first book. I love it. I love it. And I don't know
yeah,
if I would ever go back and change anything about it, as much as I know it's not perhaps my technically best written book. I still am very much in love with it. And I
yeah,
feel like, although, like, for example, my most recent book, I know a lot of people seem to really like it. I'm grateful, so grateful for that. It's not my favorite.
yeah,
I feel like, and that's okay, because it's, again,
yeah.
like, once you put it out there in the wild, it's not for you, it's for the reader.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is scary to think that, hopefully, God willing, like you said, if I have a
Yeah.
long life body work, it's like 20 books later, yeah, PL's first book,
Mhm.
but man, you should see the stuff he's writing now. It's like, yeah, that is kind of, is it the nostalgia of
I
thinking
think
that, yeah, what is it?
I- I hadn't thought about it until you mentioned how much you love, the quirks of it, and I think you've got it right on the money, where it's almost like it's not, it's like we're paying respect to the person that we were in that moment, and we're honoring who that person was, and that person now gets to exist uh, in our pages forever, as long as books exist. And um, I think you're exactly right to. I don't think it's nostalgia. I think it's just learning to love who we are and our flaws and being okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Jenny, excellent point. Perfection never arrives. You create
Oh
where you
yeah.
are. Oh
Yeah.
yes, Jenny, of course. You never get off the ground. No shame in past every period. Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's a balance. It's almost like, in some ways, you're paying homage to where you are and how much you grew and
Hmm.
got better, but recognizing, without that inception, without that starting
Yeah.
point, you wouldn't get to where you are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all meaningful. But then
Yeah.
thinking that, okay, well, now on my 10th book or 13th book, I I think I'm getting better. I'm not where I want to be, but I can see the growth, the craft. People are seeing it, but yet you're still looking back in a way at,
Yeah.
the how you got
Especially
there.
especially in an extended series, because they can't exist without that first one, and they can't
Yeah,
exist without each step, and it's kind of it's like you're leaving breadcrumbs of your life, you know for somebody to follow you and catch up to you to where you are.
yeah,
And the person that wrote Brightwash was considerably less radical than the person that's writing Ash and Stone, but I was getting there, man. Like, that book was me deciding what kind of world I wanted to believe in.
yeah,
Um, and the person that started writing it was kind of shocked by how the status quo was not as good as I previously thought it was. And now here I am with a lot of opinions about the world, and I wouldn't have been there without working on Brightwash. That that book brought me here. And I hope I'm a better version of myself for being a bit more radical, a lot more radical.
Well,
So
don't change a thing, Krystle. Don't change a thing. We love you just as you are. And Jay says that why tangle yourself up and what anyone else in the future thinks anyways. Yeah. No, and
yeah,
that I think it's part of that whole thing where, you still care. I know I still care about reviews and I still care about, I still get a high when somebody writes something positive. I still get a bit more of a low when somebody, but less and less anymore. Now I'm
yeah,
much more. I think you get to that point where, okay, five books written now. Yeah,
yeah. Good
you're
for you.
grateful. It
Yeah.
honors you, but you're gonna write the next one anyways, no matter what people think. So you
Yeah.
kind of just
Yeah.
keep going. So I think
Yeah.
I never thought I would get to that point though, but I'm there,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah. And
honestly never thought I would get to that point of not feeling the same way about the thoughts of others, and not. It's still very meaningful and humbling when But yeah, I'm just writing now.
yeah. Yeah, and it becomes less about the things they say and more about the relationship that they get to have with
Yeah,
your book, and that's a nice thing. Even if the relationship isn't as meaningful to them as it was to you, then it's still neat to participate in it.
yeah, very much so, very much so. But listen, you have been so generous for your time. I just looked at the time. I'm like, oh my god,
I
it's been
could,
around 20
I,
minutes. I
I
can't
could
believe
keep
it.
going. I could yap. I mean, you have to know this about me by now. I could yap for for
Oh
a good
yeah,
long
me
time.
too. Yeah, and with someone like
Yeah,
you, we can yap for hours. But no, I'm going to
yeah,
respect your time. And I know you
no,
have pets, husband, kids, everything, people waiting on you,
yeah,
things to do. But I want to, if it's okay, give you an opportunity to tell everyone where to follow you on social media because things have changed, in the
yeah,
landscape. Where to buy your books, best place to buy your books to support you. Things such as where about the podcast,
yeah,
where to find Dripping Bucket or anything else you're doing in space, about your blogging on Grimdark, and before I go blog, like
yeah.
give us all the
It's
deets.
gonna be a long list. I'm gonna have to yap
That's
for
okay.
a bit longer. So, the first thing I do want to plug is that the Brightwash Deluxe Edition Kickstarter successfully funded,
Ooh, congratulations.
and so this week, or I guess next week, I'll have the late backer store open so people can
Wow.
go. If you missed a pledging during the actual Kickstarter, you can go
Wow.
buy a copy, and it'll be like blue cloth and the foil wrap. And we've got
Ooh.
Jack Shepard is on board to do
Oh
a new
wow. The
map of Yalesmere.
master.
Yeah, yeah, I was so excited when he agreed. And we also funded getting a custom spread by Jeff Brown. Um,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah. I'm so
Wow.
excited to have him make Yalesmere a real. And I
Wow.
think I have an image in my mind of what I want, because like I've seen his cityscapes where it's like there's one small person and then the city
Yeah.
stretches. I think that's what we're gonna go for, but I'm gonna have to talk to him shortly. At some point I'm gonna have to contact all these people. But anyway, so yeah, please do like if that would, fit in your life, I'll
Oh
have
yeah.
that's successfully funded. And because it went so well, once those books are sent out into the world, we'll come back and we'll do Brick and Bone.
Oh,
So yeah, we're gonna have some
amazing.
gorgeous books. So that one is definitely the first one I want to plug. Otherwise, I'm gonna go wide with the ebook for Brightwash and
Okay.
Brick and Bone soon. So it's on Amazon exclusively for now, but at the end of April, my term expires. So I'm gonna pivot onto Kobo and Itch.io. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what it's. Um, I have a Patreon as well that I've been neglecting because I was so busy with the Kickstarter, but I'm gonna start posting stuff that got cut out of Brick and Bone because I wrote so many words for that book, and some of them were like really good. Like the story
Yeah.
arc was really good, but it just wasn't. It didn't work. So anyway, that'll go up on Patreon at sometime in the near future. I'm most active on Blue Sky. But I'm also on Threads and Instagram. I think that's kind of it. And then we have on YouTube we have the Dripping Bucket Podcast.
Yeah.
It used to be on Spotify, but I tried to update our RSS feed and totally messed it up somehow. So I'm gonna have to re-upload it onto Spotify and get it wide on other podcasting platforms. I don't know how I messed it up. And of course I messed it up like immediately before I launched the Kickstarter. So I didn't even have time to figure out what I had done wrong. But it's on YouTube. It's all on YouTube. So we can plug that with Michael Fletcher.
Yes.
Grimdark Magazine, issue 42,
Ooh.
just launched 2 days ago, and I have an article in there called "The Case for Cozy versus Grimdark," and I would like to say for the record that I wrote that article before the internet started fighting about cozy fantasy. I was not trying to jump on that gravy train.
Okay. We believe you. We believe you.
Controversial, yeah. But I paid my respects to both, even though it's Grimdark Magazine, because I find them fascinating as like kind of opposite faces of the same coin.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking about all that over on Grimdark Magazine. I guess that's it. I think that's it.
Where can we get the books? Where's the best place to buy the books in?
For now, the best place to buy the books is on Amazon. But I will have the paperbacks of Brightwash at the Late Backer store on Kickstarter. Okay. And if you buy them, if you don't want the deluxe hardcover, that's fine. We'll have the paperbacks for the same price as Amazon paperback, but it's going to have the interior formatting that Justine Bergman's going to do. So what Justine has done is she does like a custom layout for each point of view character. So every time it's a point of view chapter, you get like this beautiful art across both pages. And let me see.
You got a pick?
Quickly. I do. Yeah. So let me see if I can. Let me see if I know my own password. Here we go. Get out. There we go. This always takes a zillion times longer when you're on the spot. And everybody's watching me. There it is.
Me with the weight.
There it is. So let's see if we can get this. So it's focus.
Oh,
yeah. So this is. Oh, come on. Gosh. Just focus. Please focus. Gosh.
That is amazing.
Wow. Well, I have it. I have it on my Blue Sky, and I can definitely repost it on the Blue Sky. So that's Tashué's
Please do.
Saver. That's it kind of focused. That's like the bottle of whiskey that Stella gives him. So she'll do a different one for each of the 5 point of view characters. And my point was that in the paperbacks, specifically from Pledgebox, all the interior formatting will be Justine's formatting instead of just the plain. So if you want something a little bit nicer, but also you don't want the expensive hardcover, that'll be available.
Are people able to contact you directly for author side copies?
That's a good question. I'm going to have to find out a way to do that because I would like to do that. I have book plates for now that I would just send folks if they want them. And then probably once Ash and Stone is settled, it looks like the best way is to do an Etsy store. I know Quen and JD Evans both
they
do that.
They do that.
And that seems to be the best way to organize it. So I think that's what I'm going to do next.
Wow. Awesome. So. That's awesome. Well, that's amazing. I cannot wait to read your next book. Anything you write, of course. You are a must-buy author. I'm trying to think, what haven't I read by you? I think I've read everything in your anthologies. I've read your 2 novels. I'm trying to think if there's anything I
I
haven't
think
read by you.
so. I'm not sure if you read Alchemy of Sorrow.
No,
That
I
one
have. Oh yes, I haven't read it yet. I haven't read that yet. Yeah.
That one has Paperweight Watch, which is Ishmael's extremely melodramatic mental breakdown.
Well, that's Ishmael. That's Ishmael. He's extremely melodramatic, and we love him that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's
that.
Alchemy of Sorrow, Anatomy of Fear.
I read Anatomy of Fear, and I read Dark Ends.
Yeah, and then I had Tainted. So after the exclusivity term for Dark Ends expired, I did a revision on Tainted and I made it longer, and then I still wasn't happy with it, so I've pulled it, and I think after Ash and Stone is done and dusted, I'm gonna go back and do one more edit on it.
Okay.
And so it will be a novella of about 40,000 words, and it will finally be in the form that I want for it. It's always like that one project has always bugged me just a little bit, where I've always felt like I haven't figured out exactly what that book needs from me just yet. So I keep trying to make it right, and I think I'm going to try one last time, and I'm just going to have to accept whatever form it's in, and then I'll have it out as a novella for folks to.
Well, I'll definitely be picking it up too whenever it comes out. So, and I have to read your story to Abbott of Winter. So, quickly, thank you so much, Krystle, for everything. Quickly
Thank you for having me.
P.L. Stewart, Joachim Sagas, the channel. Joachim Sagas, the series. 5 books out now. Packables just got released.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The 6th book, A Black Dragon on Red, can be expected in the spring of 2026. 6th book in a 7-book series. So really we're getting there. Yeah, it's exciting.
So if it's almost out, does that mean you're finished and it's just being like polished now, or are you still working on it?
No, sorry. So Pack of Wolves book 5 is out. It's published.
Yes. And then
book 6 is I'm working on and will be published in the spring of next year.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I should have clarified. And then, God willing, I will finish the series in 2027 with book 7. So
that's amazing.
Well, thank you.
I hope you realize like how much of an accomplishment that is. Because that is really cool, and I feel like we published our first books at around the same time.
Yeah, we did.
And you have left me in the dust.
No, but your series has blown up in a way that mine never could, and I'm so happy for your success. I'm so I'm just so happy for your success. No, I have my audience, and I'm happy with it. I'm just saying that I'm really happy for your success, and it's so deserved. So it's really great to watch. But yeah,
this is what I get for trying to compliment you. You're like a ninja, compliment ninja.
It's the truth. But yeah, sorry, and also gotta plug the anthology Shapers of Worlds. My story, Forest Dark, is kind of like fantasy horror. I think you'll like it. It's related to the Drunken Saga.
I'm really digging horror these days. Yeah.
So I hope people give that a shot. If you want an arc, it's a great anthology, Krystle. If you want an arc. It's all short stories. If you want an arc, I'll send you one because it's I'd be honored if you gave my story a try too. But there's some amazing stories in that anthology though.
Yeah.
So, I'll send it to you. The other thing is that I am obviously doing 6 Elementals on my channel. That's pretty well the backbone now of my channel. Interviewing wonderful people like Krystle, just diving into especially the indie community, and I want that to be the focus because there's just so many indie authors in there that. Perhaps don't get the recognition they deserve. Yes, Krystle gets hers, but still, there's people out there who are brilliant. They might have 10 reviews on Goodreads, and they're brilliant authors, and they just needed more of a spotlight shown to them. And my little tiny channel, isn't gonna boost the signal that much, but any boost is a good boost, right?
It does, and the act of building the community is kind of my favorite thing about being part of this community. So I'm sure. I'm sure the authors appreciate it as much as I appreciate you. So.
Oh, well, thank you, and I appreciate them, and I appreciate people like you coming on. And of course, I do the bigger, perhaps the bigger platform with
Yeah.
my wonderful partner Taylor from Baby. The pages we do under the page chewing umbrella, we do the page chewing YouTube interview version. So got a big one coming up tomorrow
Yes.
at 9:30. If anybody
Yes, I know
has
what
or
it.
hasn't,
I know what it is because I'm part of Taylor's Patreon, but I don't think I'm allowed to say it. Like I'm not sure. So
no,
I'll let
you
you
are,
know.
no, you are. Please do
Okay.
because it's out there. So yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's out there.
Now I'm on the spot and I've forgotten the name. But yeah, you guys over on Page Doing are killing it. It is amazing. What an incredible platform that you guys have built and nurtured. Speaking of platforms, yeah.
That's all Taylor. I'm the weak link, but she definitely,
I don't think that's
as
true.
you can tell,
that's not true at all. I have
she's-
seen you take point on interviews, sir. You are not the weak link at all.
Oh, well, thank you. She is brilliant, and I think what we've got going on is something pretty special. So I'm so grateful that she's partnered with me, partnered with her on that, and it's just a really nice feeling. It's got its own vibe, right? Like Page Trade just has its own vibe. So I wouldn't change a thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I wouldn't change.
The vibe of page chewing is like it's at the bar after like a few beers where you're getting like deep philosophical conversations with people that are like a little bit out of your league, but you guys are having a beer together. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you're
talking about. Not that people are out of your league, but I feel like when I'm watching it, I'm like, man, I just feel like I have access to something really cool.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. That's kind of the vibe I think that we're going for. Like I think it's taken a while, but it's just a thing. It's just a thing. So I mean, page chewing is that's I guess the way I can say it is that perhaps we get a lot of the more well-known people on that platform, but we treasure things, interviews like this because it's the indie community is just so marvelous, and there are so many hidden gems here, and we want them to have the recognition they deserve. So but in any case, my main thing is that at 9:30 we're at Eastern.
Totally
No. We have Hello Future Me. Tom Hickson. He is. I mean, he's got 1 million followers on YouTube. The man is just. He's an author. He's a world-building aficionado. Sorry, he's a video essayist. He's just amazing. So 9:30 tomorrow. Check that out. But then quickly, last plug. I gotta give a shout out to the wonderful Before We Go blog crew led by our fearless leader Beth Talbot, who's one of the best people out there in the community. So always shout out to Before We Go blog, where we're assistant editors, Krystle and I. So it's just an amazing crew. So
it's a really happy home.
Yeah. So quickly, just last comment. Jenny says massive accomplishment for you both. Thanks so much, Jenny. You are someone we look up to. Madame, who we idolize. So.
I don't feel qualified to be in a conversation.
Jenny. But she is just such a blessing to the community. Thank you, Jenny, so much for coming out. Thank you to everyone who came by in the chat. Yeah. You are what makes this type of long form content amazing. Don't let anyone tell you that long form content is dead. It is very much alive and well.
There's plenty of other yappers that like to hang around, and we're not going anywhere.
So I want to say a word thank you to my wonderful friend and guest,
thank you
Krystle
so much.
Matar. Thank you so much. For those of you that almost all of you, if not all, you've heard of Krystle's work, like the Brightwash. Again, one of the biggest science fiction fantasy indie books. Period. Go read it. Cry over it. Like embrace the cry. Embrace the ugly cry. Okay, embrace it. right? It's worth it.
Uh,
It's worth it for sure. It is worth
yeah, it helps me. Like I feed on the tears, and then that's how I get more books out.
it. Oh, that is awesome. So once again, Chris, I hope you do the honor of coming back in the future. I've just had such a
Absolutely.
wonderful time. Again, I hold you hostage here for hours, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really
I'll have
gotta
to
go.
come
So
back. I'll have to come back and have a little party with you when Ash and Stone is getting off the ground.
I
Yeah.
would love that. I would absolutely love that. Congratulations on all the success. And I know we'll continue. And thanks for coming out. Everyone, have a wonderful evening.